Good evening and hello, witches. We are here tonight to go over week 3, which was talking about ethics, myths, beliefs. Myths is like a very short part of it, but if you were here for Monday or you weren't here and you had to see it on YouTube, we're now going over all the Q&A that we don't release in the regular YouTube video. So we've got Jolene here tonight who's actually going to be helping us through a lot of the questions. We had some really big conversations.
Great questions.
Yeah, really a deep dive into what you believe, how you believe it, how you integrate it into your practice or even into your life. And it doesn't all necessarily have to do with witchcraft. This could be applicable to just different areas within your life. And yeah, we're going over some of that. So we are starting now because there's no wait time. And I'll let you go ahead and get started because you're holding all the questions. So putting her on the spot for tonight.
So using the god and goddess, how to use them, how to choose them, how to choose when to use them, things like that. Us personally, we don't necessarily use them, if you will, and like our spells and things like that. We know of them. We know what they represent. They come to mind, if we're doing something that is in relation to around that time, then we do think of them. And every once in a while, I feel like we might put like a little offering out, but it's not something we do often. It's mostly like during the holidays.
Or something really big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, can either of you say when the last time is that you included a deity or an archetype within your own spell work or manifestations or asking for something, anything like that?
A long time.
A long time?
A long time. It would have been a holiday.
A holiday,
yeah.
Which is a great time because we do have gods and goddesses that represent or part of the 8 holidays of the year, the Wheel of the Year. I do know that one of my last times that I used a deity, and I used both. So, Greek and Roman gods and goddesses are very similar. They're very similar. So for me, I was getting married in the month of June. So I chose the goddess Juno, and I also chose the goddess Hera. So they're relating deities. And it's about home and marriage and hearth. And so when I did my spell for the day that I was getting married to ask for, good weather, I didn't say specifically because we don't like to mess with weather often, but I just said good weather for a wedding because we were doing an outside backyard.
Damn backdoor wedding.
Backyard wedding. Like we intentionally just made our wedding very, very small at our house around our pool. And being June has normally like 17 days of rain in Florida. And I just thought, okay, let one of them not be on my day. Now with that, you guys know we don't like to mess with weather. In this family line, at least we've learned that it's a little too chaotic. So on that day of good weather, there was no rain, but there was also no breeze. It was extremely stagnant. It was really hot.
It was suffocating air. You couldn't breathe. It was like a sauna.
But I got blessed with good weather. I mean, it was beautiful outside. If we hadn't been standing around in wedding clothes, it probably could have been better.
If we were in the pool.
Yes. Yeah.
We did ourselves up.
We did. We all jumped in the pool in our wedding clothes, which we knew we were going to do when we arranged the whole thing. So I think when picking gods or goddesses or deities, it's really about timing. I say, if you feel it, go with it. Like I would always just trust my intuition or my little gut feeling to pull something into a spell or ritual. That's what I would tell you as advice because we don't use them that often. And we don't really think about how in Wicca you really have the representation of God and goddess for balance. We don't really name that as much in our practices. We just look at where is balance within us, but we don't necessarily name it. And I think that was a really big part of ethics and beliefs as far as the lesson went on Monday.
Yeah.
Well, and I know in our group, we've had people who did have a deity or a goddess that they followed. The Bridget, the one with the red hair,
Bridget.
the pretty one with the red hair.
Yep.
So I would say if that's something that you're interested in, then to do some research on the different goddesses and what their their story is, and find one that you connect with, and then by all means incorporate that as part of your practice.
Absolutely.
I was just reading the chat. So, hey Tracy, hey Selena,
Hi.
and Selena says it rained on her wedding day in her backyard. So
so
much
much
mud. I might have embraced that. I don't know. I mean, I tried to embrace my sweaty side and everybody else's. But if it had rain, I kept saying that's going to be okay. If there's some rain, like we're going to
We'll
be
have fun.
fine.
We'll dance in it.
Well, and I thought that I was like, why did I even ask for, weather without rain? Like maybe that would have been amazing to have this beautiful sun shower. Because, in Florida, we get the sun showers where it's still sunny outside and yet it sprinkles and it feels magical. So I did what I did. It all happened. And you can't bring it back. It is what it is. What's the next
And
question?
we'll never forget how hot and sweaty we all were that day. When you look at the
just rolling
when you look at the pictures and you're like, everything looks normal, but you just remember how your clothes were sticking to you.
Sweat rolling down into places.
It was a gorgeous day, and then there was a pool. There was some pool activity later after everything was over, I think. So it was a great day. Okay.
Well, thanks.
So Joan to Kat, she asked you specifically, can we really change once we're older?
So I think Joan is one of our members who were about the same age. So I'm answering this as an older witch, but also a newer witch. And so I'm going to say that as a, I think we can all change if we want to change, if we find things in ourselves that, especially I know this, I'm going to speak from my personal experience because I didn't know anything when I started.
Nothing.
Okay. Tarot, astrology, numerology. Well, I don't feel like I knew. I don't feel like I knew much of anything. But when I started, and I started exploring things and learning, I realized one of the things that I had this epiphany that that my Libra moon, I found out I'm a Libra moon, right?
Libra moon.
So Libras, I love Libras. They're so much fun. And I was like, you mean that's part of me? So I can be like that? And that was something that I decided that I wanted to, because I've always been so serious, and I wanted to be more fun and lighthearted. And so when I discovered that was part of who I am, and it was something that I could explore, then I decided to follow that path. And I believe that I have done that over the last 4 years. And so I think that I think we can always change no matter how old we get.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of what do we want to change? And then how do we go about it? What is it that we are dissatisfied with, or that we think could improve our lives in some way? And we explore what that looks like, and maybe get an example. Like for me, it was that Libra personality that, just always happy, the always happy and fun Libra. That's how I see Libras. They're like the life of the party. And then you go down that path and try to emulate that. So I think the answer is yes. Do you have anything to add to?
I just agree. I think that as you're living your life, and sometimes we get stuck in our ruts or in our ways, something comes along and awakens you, whatever that is, a person in your life, a horoscope, a tarot reading, a Reiki session. And all of a sudden you start having these ideas in your head, and to follow them, to really trust that guidance of, I feel like I'm getting messages from outside of myself, and it is something that I want to change. I desire that as well. So for me, I think that I'll continue to grow no matter what. I'm always exploring the sides of myself that I'm uncomfortable with and trying to become more comfortable with them. I think that's a lifelong evolution. I don't know that ever stops. So I think that change can last right up until the day of your passing, because there's even forgiveness. Hospice nurses talk about this a lot, that people within their last weeks really say some things that are really important to them. And that's even changed, because there's acceptance and there's guidance towards others. So right up until your last days, I do believe that we can change our hearts, our minds, what we feel. I believe that.
This is an ongoing journey that never ends. Even after you pass, it's still, you're on this spiritual journey always. So yeah, it doesn't matter how old you get.
In earth years.
Ever.
I was going to say in life years. In life years, no matter how old you are. But in earth years, especially if you believe in reincarnation like we do, I can't even imagine how old our souls are. So this is just another part of that. It's just another experience, another classroom that we walked into to really understand ourselves better, to gain strength in our relationships, to grow and change each other, to support one another, whatever it is. So since we don't feel like this is our first time here, it's more like what would you say? Umpteenth time?
Yeah.
I don't know. We all kind of feel like older souls,
It's
but
like a high school reunion. We're
Yeah.
like, hey, back again.
hey, what are you doing here? So I think that change is possible no matter what. Next question.
So this one really had my wheels turning. I was sitting there in silence a little bit, like thinking about it. I'm like, oh yeah. So Red said, how do we find our feminine and masculine side and integrate that into our personalities and everyday habits? Approaching situations with, empathy versus force, caring for people as a whole rather than just during the time that you interact with them, and us showing our own vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
So I think that we look at women as softer, right? Healers, as you may say. And men are supposed to be warriors, but we both equally have those things in us. Women are warriors. Fuck. We are wars.
Hello.
I mean, and men can be healers, and they can be vulnerable, and they can be, there's lots of men out there, James Van Praagh, we're a big fan of.
Yeah, huge fan.
He's a huge healer.
Yeah, definitely.
But a warrior in the same sense. So I think just recognizing that you do have that duality no matter what, and find ways to channel both of those sides of you, figure out what that means for you. What is your masculine side? What is your feminine side? And, go from there.
Yeah, I think when you say channel it or honor it, find ways to say, I'm proud of myself for addressing this with empathy. If you say you are a male who's looking to bring in more traits of the feminine, which is it is supposed to be that more receptive, softer, empathetic side, the healer side, the understanding, psychology, all the things.
Yeah.
When you find yourself listening to that side, acknowledge it and say, oh, I'm so grateful I was able to tap into that. I want more of that. I appreciate that side of my soul. Because when we come here and choose our gender, right? And gender is such like a big thing right now.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, no matter how we feel, our souls, I don't think our souls have genders. I think as energy, we're able to transform into whatever is needed, and we can hold and embody both. We have gender here because we have roles and we need to go through certain things in this life classroom. And so we have to pick because there's not free-flowing stuff. Or, I guess there is now because there's non-binary and transgender and all the beautiful things that have come from figuring out what we do in these human bodies as energy that actually doesn't have a gender. Like, explore that for you. And some of our grimoire questions for you to reflect on it was, how do you feel about energy that's non-binary? It's masculine. It's neither masculine nor feminine. It's just energy, and just exploring that, because I kind of think that our energy leaving our bodies here is not gender specific. I think we could come here as a male. We could come here as a female. We could come here as a transgendered person, a lesbian, a gay person. It doesn't matter. It's like we come here for the experiences. And so we're just kind of stuck in this reality during this small time, but our souls are not this. We're bigger than this.
And I believe, and I'm sure you probably do too, but that in past lives, we've been both male and female.
Yeah.
And so
Definitely.
you already have that as part of your soul's journey on
the history
on this earth. So you can tap into it if you desire to
what
do
it
that.
felt like back then. Yeah, agree. Because we did talk about me feeling more masculine than feminine, and I literally say, like, all of this is my sister. She taught me how to be, like, the makeup, the hair, the femininity, I really got from her. I drew that experience from her. I asked her for help to bring this on so that I could feel this more. And as years go by, I get more and more confident in my femininity, but it wasn't innate to me. It wasn't natural. It didn't feel like that's who I wanted to be. And that had nothing to do with the gender side of myself either, right? So we talked about that, bringing up gender versus the traits of feminine versus masculine. It has nothing to do with being male or female or what you choose to identify as. It's just the embodiment of an energy that you feel. This gets very convoluted, I feel like. I know.
That's why I said that one really
It's-
had like
yeah.
my mind going. I'm like, there's so many ways to answer that and so many things to think about. And it's also very personal to you and who you are and not necessarily like a wide range. What are you laughing at?
Tracy said, Jolie, please help me do my hair like Jamie.
She did her hair today. Actually, I was proud of her.
I
She
don't
came in,
know.
she's like, what do you think? I'm like, great.
It's
I
only
love
after
it.
many lessons from her that I was able to complete this look a little bit, but
Well, she helped me be a tomboy.
I did.
I wouldn't have like eaten mud and shit when I was a kid if it wasn't for
I'm
her.
not sure we ate mud. We ate flowers.
Same thing.
Not really.
We were making
No.
mud pies. I'm pretty sure she made me taste it.
I definitely made her drink out of random streams that we have no idea what could have been in there. Bacteria didn't matter. We were living the wild life.
Oh yeah.
That was my
We
childhood.
were feral children.
A little bit. Only while my mom was at work, and then when she came home, we acted totally normal.
Yeah.
She had no idea.
Scrubbing the dishes.
I did
Like,
not
oh,
know
nothing
what was
happened.
going on in the woods behind
We
the
lived
house.
in the woods all the time.
Come to find out, quite a bit actually.
I was living my fairy tale dream. A kid in the
it was
woods
pretty
raised by
awesome.
wolves. Yeah, it was
Here,
good.
come here.
What?
You got
Oh,
something
God.
on your hair.
I got something on my hair or my
I see a hair.
ew, what is it?
You feel it?
buzz.
That was so big. What was
I'm
that?
so glad we're live for my buzz removal.
I was over here eating linen.
What did I touch?
It's probably that furry rug down there.
The one, maybe the dog's laying on a furry rug that I put out.
Yeah.
So
Don't blame it on my dog.
No, she's just taking the
No, but
opportunity.
when you laid it out,
When I opened it,
probably
buzz went on my lip.
Yeah.
And you could
Oh.
see
And
it.
I saw it and it was bothering me.
Ew.
I was like, is
I'm glad I didn't eat it. I would have been like
Oh my God.
choking on a piece of buzz.
hair just grosses me out, like random hair
Oh,
really
same.
freaks me out. So like I couldn't watch it for very long before I had to do something about it.
See, now if you get old and senile, I'm placing random hair clumps
Oh
everywhere.
my gosh, don't do that.
And
That's
recording
mean.
it and making her
That
Insta
sounds-
famous.
That sounds evil.
That's mean.
I can't do the hair.
It
Or
might
All
run in my
right,
blood.
what's our next question?
We are going to talk about first day of spring and connecting with nature,
Oh,
some
yes.
moon water for the new season.
All right, on the
What
lighter
intentions
side
are
of
we
things.
setting right now?
Yes. So normally we would do a holiday meetup, but we just don't have time this year to do an Ostara meetup. But you guys, Ostara is
I love
like
this
one of my
time.
favorite holidays.
Yeah.
I got married near midsummer, so that's definitely a favorite holiday. And then sister's birthday always falls near Beltane, which is the fire festival of like individuality, sexuality, like everything comes alive. So these 3 holidays are during the lightest part of the year. It's when our sun is the strongest. You've got Ostara, then you've got Beltane, then you've got midsummer, the peak. And during this time, I'm just invigorated to be like laying in the sun 24/7 all day long.
Flowers
growth,
surrounding
growth,
us,
like-
butterflies,
Ugh,
just all
We
the
have birds, we have
Fresh
everything.
vegetables, lots of
Yes.
fruits,
Yeah.
fruity
Yes.
sangrias. And,
All the floral, fruity,
Yes.
colorful things of life are during
Yeah.
this time.
this is such a perfect time of year to honor, and because it's after we've just been through winter and the dark, and now we're coming out of it, and you're like, yes, glorious,
Yes,
it's
glorious sunlight.
glorious.
warm again.
Yeah. We actually have celebrated in the last 5 or 6 days, maybe week, every single day that it's been sunny. We've all sort of been playing hooky from work and sitting by the pool earlier in the afternoon, which has been amazing because it's us together.
It wasn't me. I was at work doing what I was supposed to do.
We were PRN.
That's right.
We were as needed.
You know,
So we could have been available.
I was available. I was checking my emails.
Same.
she was on call, but poolside. So we really try to take advantage of the opportunity for the sun coming back, being this strong, being this warm, like really breathing it in, feeling it on your skin, also immersing in waters and looking at everything that's blooming and blossoming right now. We do gardening. I know I've been fixing up my yard. So like being in the dirt, I will go out there on purpose, no shoes, no gloves, like hands in the dirt, just really feeling all of that earth energy and the awakening of our slumber from winter days, even though we're in Florida and it's a little calmer than most people. We don't have blizzards, thank God. But that's what I do to honor it. I've not made any moon water during this time. There's actually making sun water can be a really good thing. Making sun teas, anything that you can do within the sun to invigorate yourself for the return of the sun. Like now, ever since I don't even know if it was the 20th, 21st, or possibly yesterday, the 22nd. A star occurs on one of those days, right? Because it's the spring equinox, the vernal equinox. So when that happens, that means that's the point at which the sun hits a certain elevation that now every day forward from that, there's more sunlight than there is nighttime. Like there's more daylight than night. And that's why you really bring in anything that the sun grows, what it feels like, the warmth. Fire is a symbol of the sun. So having fires at night and just continuing on that warmth for your soul, for the growth, for the warmth of it, for the beauty of it. Yes.
Teresa said Jolene needs her own makeup and hair meetup. I need help too. I could.
I've actually told her that before. That
she's been told that many times.
She needs a YouTube channel for.
I just don't know if I could get enough people that would want to actually listen to me.
It's just about who you can help. The people will come. If you show up with like a good message and your heart's in it, people will show up. It's like Kevin Costner's movie. If you build it, they will come. Yeah. We started 2 years ago with like one person, or actually, nobody. Jamie sitting in front of a blank camera waiting for people to show up. And now we're at over 2,000 members.
Yeah.
There you go. If you build it, they will come. The people who need you. The hair and makeup people. I need it. I especially like trying different colors and hairstyles and just being.
She did green today.
Different.
It looks really
pretty. I did. I'm still feeling the green. I know we entered Aries season and I should be doing like reds and oranges and fire colors, but man, I'm still in that like earth and water stuff. I might just ignore Aries right into Taurus.
Which is again greens and
earth and plants. Yes. Love it.
Star was the first holiday I celebrated as a witch. I love that.
That's a perfect holiday.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about a star is that when I go to the stores and I see all of the Easter stuff, I'm like, nothing here is about Christianity or Jesus. Like, where in the Bible are they talking about bunnies and eggs and all the things? I'm like, this is all the pagan traditions coming forward and sort of showing themselves, even though people still go to church, and that's all wonderful and fine. I don't, no, there's no biases against that. It's just that all of the symbols of Easter are symbols of a star.
Yeah, because tell me what the hell the Easter bunny has to do with Jesus and the resurrection. Can you?
Don't make me make a joke.
I'm just want to make a joke. The math ain't mathin'.
I mean, I don't even know.
It's like, why are we going to the church and having Easter egg hunts with the Easter bunny and like?
Because Christianity is not fun and paganism is.
Touche.
That's not meant to be offensive. It's just that, Easter is about, I think, Mom, you're going to have to help me on this. Easter is about the resurrection of Jesus.
Yeah.
So we're celebrating somebody who was brought back from the dead, which AKA could be a zombie. Nobody actually said that. But in our culture, somebody who's dead but comes back alive is what? Anybody seen The Last of Us? Good show. Been trying to get this one to watch it.
I have. I'm on like episode 4.
Finally.
I'm not a TV watcher.
So it's just, there's not, like, with a story the biblical stories don't have any fun in them. Whereas I think the myths and the legends of the old pagan traditions just have much more fun. They had to make light of situations. They had to create stories around why spring was coming and how the earth came back alive, and then little animals with their morals, right? So the Easter bunny was really a bird that decided to, shuck all of his responsibilities and tried to stay and not go south with the other birds. And he was freezing to death when the goddess Astara found him And he's like, please save me. And she said, I can't save your body, but I could save you, your soul, basically. And so she turned him into a bunny, or her, because obviously only female birds lay eggs, but the Easter bunny is always referred to as a hen for whatever reason. So that's how the Easter bunny lays eggs, because it used to be a bird. Anybody know that story? Yeah, great stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all very interesting.
Good stuff.
Well, and I
Good
think
stuff.
perhaps churches have Easter egg hunts so that they can get the little kids to come to church, and then,
They gotta make it fun.
Yeah, so they have to make it fun and
They gotta make it
interesting
fun
for them, because they're not going to sit and listen to the sermon about Christ on the cross and coming back
Who
in
wants
3
to
days.
celebrate somebody being murdered and then risen again? How many days?
3 days.
3 days later, that nobody truly saw, and there's just like a shrouded cloth, and then a stone that rolled away, so I think that that's what makes Easter and all of our little symbols easier to take on, rather than having like the crucifix symbol everywhere and people being happy about that. How do you look at a guy who's all that? So
but what's so crazy is that, it's almost like the symbolism is almost, it's so similar, right? It's like spring is the
resurrection.
awakening of the earth again from winter and all of that. So it's like,
it is.
if you look at the pagan religion and you look at Christianity, it is so crazy how much Christianity.
They stole our stuff.
Well, they stole our.
Yeah.
They stole our.
They stole it.
They stole it and renamed it a Christian name and changed some things. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Look up you guys know we're big on the history of words. Look up the word Easter and look at the etymology of Easter and where everything came about, and why is the word Easter the Christian holiday? Why is it named that? So we had to, a long time ago, there was a period of time where Christians were actually persecuted for their beliefs and pagans lived freely. And then so like all this little Constantine history, blah, 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 blah. Then everybody was sort of on their own, and Constantine and the Roman Empire fall. And now Christianity is like, we're going to be the dominant religion. And so now we need to take over all the pagan religions. And you had to find a way to blend them. So if you ever look at the Celtic cross, I think it's one of the most beautiful things, because it's actually the merging of two religions. You have the cross that represents Christianity. The circle that goes around that Celtic cross is a symbol of the sun, because that's what they needed to combine, was a symbol of the sun, meaning the pagan religion, and the Christian religion. So the Celtic religion still encompasses a lot of the stories and myths from the pagan times, but also respects everything to do with Christianity and getting into heaven by, how do you get into heaven?
I think you ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, by
you
being
repent your
baptized.
sins. You repent your sins.
Stop, by being baptized and,
Well,
and
you have
being
to
I think it's a
sorry
combination.
for
You
your
have to,
sins.
you have to
Yes.
accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and
As
Savior.
your savior.
Your Savior.
But you also
That's
have to
repent your
remember
sins.
that.
There's a lot more than that.
Well,
guys.
but that's one of the first steps. And then
Look at
once you
us.
do that, then you have to start living like it. And when you sin, of course, you're like asking for forgiveness.
We're
and
trying
depending
so
on-
hard to help this situation out.
Depending on what your religion is. If you're a Catholic like me, you're going into confession every week and then taking communion. And
Teresa says she got in trouble in elementary school for saying Christmas is pagan.
Ooh.
Not wrong.
I can't lie. I really
Not
like that.
wrong.
Yeah.
Elementary
mean,
school.
In elementary school,
Love
yeah.
that.
So you knew.
You've been
very
doing
young.
it a long time. Woo!
Yeah.
Look at her starting little pagan fires
yeah.
all over the place. Love that, Teresa. Yes. Deathbed remains. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the guys who said that he lived an immoral life up until he knew he was dying, and then he repented and he was like, well, I'm saved because I asked Jesus for forgiveness, or whoever they asked for forgiveness. And it was a way of life like way back when. They've obviously edited that out now and said, no, you need to accept early on. And then that's why children get baptized now. Do you know that there's some religions in Christianity or some sectors of Christianity that you're not allowed to get baptized as a child? You have to wait until you are of age, because it seems immoral to them to have a child agree to something that they don't actually understand. And I was like, I think that's kind of cool. I'm like, you shouldn't be baptized and then chosen at 6 months old. Maybe you should wait and make your own decision. I at least think that that's a little bit more on point about choosing your own faith.
All right.
And-
And next question. We got way off in the weeds.
Right along.
We got way.
I
Do we
went
have
to
another
Catholic
question?
schools back in the 60s when nuns really did try to beat the hell out of us. LOL.
Or beat the heaven
Yeah.
into you. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
it's just, well, we talked about this during the meetup as well, where you can find many religions that are fear-based, and it's one of the things that they really tried to do to the pagan religion is they tried to create fear around it by saying the horned god was equal to the devil, by saying that we curse and control people and manipulate them, and we have these contracts and you can be damned to hell and all this stuff. And most pagans don't even believe in hell. As us as witches, solitary witches, we don't believe in hell. The devil is an
Doesn't
archetype
exist
that
in
we
my
didn't
world.
create. I mean, that's not
At all.
just not
It's
something.
a Christian
so
belief.
it's a
Yeah.
Christian belief. It's a Christian word. So
I heard something the other day that was really interesting.
what's that?
It said, like somebody said, so the devil was an angel at one point, right? And because
Lucifer.
he disobeyed
Lucifer
God,
Morningstar.
which is how
Lucifer Morningstar.
Morningstar, like the veggie burgers?
Yeah.
No.
Lucifer Morningstar.
Well, hell.
Making veggie burgers for life. Maybe he wasn't such a bad guy after all.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened?
So basically, he was sent to hell by God, right?
Yes.
He was cast out of heaven.
Oh, right. Cast out of heaven. Okay.
Because he disobeyed God?
Because he disobeyed him. He betrayed him.
Betrayed him?
Yeah, something. I don't know what he did. He was bad.
He was the bad boy.
Okay.
All right. So if the devil is against God, right, then why does it make sense that the devil would burn all the people that God doesn't want in heaven?
Oh!
Why would he do that? Just saying.
Whoa!
Yeah.
All right. Mind blown a little bit.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. It's like, so was he working for God then? So he's punishing
Humans
All the
for
people-
God.
other people for doing the same thing that he did, right? Which was disobey or dishonor him. So why is the devil burning people? Doesn't really make
Ooh.
sense.
I don't know that he's burning. It's just
It says you'll burn in eternity.
yeah, but it doesn't
hell
say
for
the
eternity.
devils. Yeah, it says you'll burn in hell. So
But
And
the
the devil
devil
is-
runs hell,
watch it.
though, right?
I don't know if he runs hell.
Former
but-
Catholic.
God
please
is
tell
God
us.
running hell? Because then that might
Well,
make it. I'm just
I think
saying.
hell was
Okay.
created to scare little children into behaving.
Yeah.
Well, we
you
know
know,
that,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's putting
When you start breaking it down, you're like,
it's putting their theory to the test. It's like
That's just very
make it
interesting.
make sense because it's the math ain't mathin'.
The math ain't mathin'.
It's just not adding up.
Yeah. Heaven and hell are just concepts to keep the religious in line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you
exactly.
know that reincarnation was taken out of the Bible in 650 AD? Real facts. So the Bible's been edited many times, many times. And reincarnation used to be in there. But when people believed that they could live multiple lives, after the prophets said, like, in this life you must do this, and in the next life, blah, 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 whatever. They had to take that out because if people thought that they had a second chance, they weren't trying to live good in this life. They needed to create more control. This is where religion and control form. Like,
yeah. And that's really what it was all
Yeah.
about in the beginning, was controlling people.
yeah.
Well, and I truly do believe that there are parts of the Bible and other religions that have truth to them, because the same way that we have people who are extremely gifted in the spiritual world, right? Like here, that's in all religions,
Yeah. I
And
don't
so
think everything is bad.
No, I think there's a lot of truth to things.
I
And
think there's good.
I always
Yeah.
said that, like, I think Jesus was a witch.
Oh, I love this. Actually,
It makes sense to me.
one of our awesome members, Ryan, was like, I think the big J would be okay with witches.
I think
He
he was
said
one.
that.
Who
I
turns water into
right?
wine? A witch.
Who wants to drink? Yeah.
Who spreads the sea apart? A witch.
I mean,
like that's
so-
not,
I think that there's definitely things that we don't know that we can't know, and the world that we live in today, we just have to take with like many teaspoons of sugar and salt, whichever one you want, or tequila, whichever, and just like be okay with how you're living, because we get into these big conversations about, all of the areas of life that we can't ever truly know the answers to. And it might keep us pondering, or it might keep us from making decisions. But really, you just need to like look at your own life and say, am I living the best that I can live for myself? Regardless of what everybody else is doing, regardless of how everybody else is living. Like, what feels good to my soul, my heart, my body, whatever it is, and just live that life. Because I think if we all actually just got away from all the bullshit and then we just did our own thing, most of us would be living extremely happy, pleasant lives, believing what we wanted to, and never clashing with people, because it doesn't matter that somebody believes something different than you.
Yeah.
If we're all living together cohesively,
regardless
what does
of
it
how
matter?
we feel about
Anything.
The Bible or Christians or anything like that, we still love people. We still treat them
I
with
hope the
kindness
good
and
for
and
everybody.
hope that they
Yeah.
are
Well,
happy
and
on their spiritual
This
journey.
actually
Absolutely.
ties in perfectly to what we were talking about, which was
What?
forming your ethics and your beliefs. So, like, what you believe about yourself and what you believe about
finding
the
your own
world,
truth.
and finding your own, your own truth, and then forging your path with that truth in mind.
Yes.
And just leaving all the rest of it that can be, that can end up with you just spinning around and around in circles, because you can't answer all the questions that are
and you
out
can't
there.
make sense of everybody else's bullshit either. Like,
so
we're not meant to understand every other single person in this world. That's not spiritual enlightenment. Spiritual enlightenment for me is that you understand yourself and your boundaries and how far you can go, and when it's not healthy, and then you pull yourself back, because you're like, I'm not going to dip into that sea of toxicity. I'm actually going to keep myself right here. No matter how bad I want to help them, it's not good for anybody, because they're not ready for the help, and I would just be extending energy that could be used in a better place. So when you think about it like that, I mean,
it's almost like agree to disagree, and
definitely, and move the fuck on.
Do we have any other questions, Joe?
So the alphabet versus the goddess?
Yeah, we definitely talked about the book, The Alphabet versus the Goddess, you guys. It is a heavily researched.
There's one more after this.
It's a heavily researched book by a guy who was a brain surgeon, who was taking all these trips around the world. And every time he went to these ancient sites, they told him the history of the site. And it was that it used to be a goddess temple. And so everywhere he went, he said, why are all these goddess temples being taken over by something else? And it wasn't always Christianity, but it was something like that. And it became a masculine temple, or a temple only for men, or a place that got worshipped. There's only like 3 left in the world that are the original goddess temples, 3 in the whole world. But it used to be a thing. And so he wrote this amazing, extensive book that he researched for over 20 years. And it's so unbiased, because he was not a believer in anything. He just thought, what is this? I want to find, like, I need to look into this just as a researcher, just as somebody who really wants to know. So it's this unbiased research into how, as a civilization before reading and writing really came about, the goddess was a major part of every civilization's
practice,
spiritual belief.
Well, they had
community. I was like looking for a word for that.
They carried around little statues of a goddess, of a woman, a female figure. When they traveled, they found these at sites. They found little ones like that go in your pocket. Like, is it the Venuses? The Venuses. Look that up. They're these little statues. They're these little bitty statues that have been found in different places all over the world. So they know that early civilizations were worshiping goddesses. And so that's kind of
female figure, female deity.
So
the
that's,
goddess.
He talks about that, and he talks about how when language came, when we developed language, that this changed. And it's such an interesting book.
It's heavy. This is, you need to be on like level 3 or 4 of researching stuff, because this is something that is a lot of information and can feel like really heavy and blow your mind on so many occasions. I would love to do an entire series just on that book, because it's the most fascinating read ever. And I realize that it's not always accessible to everybody because of the way that it's written. It is heavily academic it feels like a textbook. Okay. But the research that he's done to prove these different things is incredible for understanding how we got here. So anybody who hears this and listens to this, if you are a feminist, you need to read this book. You need to read it, because it will give you
the goddess.
It will give you every single answer you ever desired on how the hell we got to this place. It is amazing. And if you're ever a guy wondering how females got to a place of feeling like,
Subjugation.
I was going to say victimhood even. Like we are still trying to break out of this subservient role where we're not equals. This book describes everything that has happened in the past, and it is amazing. It doesn't necessarily change your life now. It just gives you this knowledge to go forward and go like, I understand things now. Like I really have a good grasp on history and how we ended up here and all the things that happened to get us here and why. It's amazing. Yeah, I still really want to do like a series on that. I can't help myself. It's such an amazing read. I think there was one last. Teresa's like the Witches Book Club.
Yeah.
Yes, oh my gosh, we are doing some preliminary book clubs right now. Kat's doing one for. She's doing a Witches Book Club. I can't remember what it is. She doesn't either. I'm doing a very small book club just to like find my role in how to do a book club. And I bet we're gonna go forward and do more book clubs because it's awakening like nothing else. All right, you had a last
We'll see
question.
how this first one goes.
Yeah, we gotta like test the waters.
We've
for
never
stuff.
done this. I've never been in a book club or run a book club, so I'm like.
Well, I want you to know that I never did a meetup before. I never had a YouTube channel before. I never did any of this.
I have plenty of faith in you guys. I think you're gonna be just fine with a book club.
We did all this other stuff we never did before, and here we are.
Yeah, you're gonna be just fine.
We're gonna be just fine. Okay.
Last thing is how bad is a witch? Getting into conversations with people who think witches are bad.
Yeah.
How
bad is a witch? You know, when people really hear the word witch, it brings up connotations of stuff. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
because I got excited about the question.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. There was a little bit more, but it didn't matter.
If you can really, and this came from one of our members, he kind of said it just on the sly or on the side of like other things, but how bad is a witch? When people hear the word witch, Hollywood shit comes up, crazy stuff comes up, fear comes up.
We talked about this another night too.
Yes, we will always talk about this because the label of witch, and one of the reasons why we own that label now is because we want people to be like, oh, this is serious. This is not some whimsical, I used to call myself pagan, which was very vague. No, I say witch now because I know exactly what I practice and what I do, and I'm very secure with it. So when you say witch to other people, their reactions could be, they could be like, oh my God, I always wanted to know about that. Teach me something. Or they could be, you are going to be forever cursed by the devil. And if I'm around you, I might get possessed.
I like that guy.
We're over here.
Yeah, I like that guy.
And people just don't know what they don't know, So,
and people are just dicks. So there's that also.
We could name call. People are dicks. They're dumb. They're uneducated.
They're rude.
Society doesn't help. Society doesn't help. I mean,
just because you're not knowledgeable on something or you're not familiar with somebody's culture or their belief system doesn't mean you automatically,
put it down.
Yeah, say mean things or treat them differently. I
know. Do you ever treat Christians differently?
Just it depends.
I was like, oh no, we can't be an example of what
I can't say that I do, unless I'm being like attacked.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
If I'm being like attacked in some sort of way, which I don't even get into things like that, so
we don't put ourselves in the situations.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen.
We're smarter now.
Yeah.
We used to get into debates with people, not so much anymore. I think that as, how bad is a witch is really, that was the comment. And what I loved about this is, I think that what our member was trying to say was when he encounters somebody and they say, you're a witch, like, oh shit, I need to fear you. I need to be worried. I need to be like cautious. I need to pull back. And then he starts to explain, like, how bad is a witch to you? Like, what do you think I do that's going to be so scary or terrible? Here's the 5 principles that I live by. And once they hear that, they're going, well, those are really similar to the principles that I live by, have respect for others, find the balance in your life, work on yourself and be the best version of yourself that you can be, find higher guidance, like whatever it is that the witches believe, which we all kind of have similar beliefs, but
honor the earth and
find peace within
Take
yourself,
care of
like
people.
take care of the earth. There's all of these different beliefs that we're building, and that's what this whole meetup was about. If you start explaining to people what a witch is to you, you can get past the label of I'm a witch and what that might bring as far as the Hollywood production side of it. You're like levitating people, cursing people, making things dead, alive, whatever, collecting crazy shit. Who
Eating
knows?
children.
I have to admit,
Eating
it's
children.
kind of fun when they're a little bit scared of you.
Listen to
I
this
can't
one.
lie. It's like
All witches have their own perspectives.
But
on
here's the
things.
thing: there's evil, if you will, or bad people in all areas of life.
Yeah.
I have come encounter with
Terrifying
witches
Christians, terrifying
witches who do things that I wouldn't necessarily, not necessarily, that I absolutely would never do or agree with, and goes against what I believe in.
Yeah.
Right. And so, in my opinion, they're a bad witch, but there are also Christians or, Catholics that do terrible things, and that's talked about in the community and stuff. So, there's bad everywhere.
Extremes of every kind.
But I think Jamie
everywhere.
had a point. Just if somebody acts fearful towards who you are, what you believe in, I would, approach it with softness and kindness, and, try to get them to see what you are.
What you are, not what all witches are.
Right.
The one pep talk that we give each other before we ever get on meetups or doing these lives is I say, never speak for anybody other than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important that we are not trying to tell you about all witches, other witches.
Yeah.
Just us. We always come from what our belief is.
Yeah.
And the freedom to choose your own. Mm-hmm. That is, for me, that's such an important witch practice. It's such an important spiritual practice. I feel like that should be an important religious practice. I don't think that anybody should be able to tell you what you have to believe. That you have to. Yeah. I just think that you should have free will on all of it. So when we speak about things, we're always speaking from our own point of view, how we're dealing with stuff, how we've worked through things. And even when we haven't, I mean, there's a ton of stuff that we just don't do, like deities. We're not really deity witches. We just don't engage in that side of witchcraft that much. We don't do hexes. What else don't we do?
I sure have thought about it.
Curses or hexes feel similar, but we try to frame it in a different way to be a positive interaction rather than putting something out into the universe because we believe in karma.
Yeah.
So even within ourselves, we're really like, we have our own rules and boundaries. Mm-hmm. And the whole reason for Monday's lesson is we want you guys to create your own rules and boundaries about what's acceptable to you. What do you feel, think? What will you put out into the world? What will you not? Who will you allow in your circle, and who will you draw the line for and say, you can't come in here unless you're going to treat me with respect and listen to me as I tell you my opinions and advice and whatever.
Yeah. Find your truth.
Find your tribe.
Find your truth.
Find your truth. Find your tribe. Yeah.
That's probably I want to say
that. Hey. New saying.
Find your truth. Find your tribe.
I think we spend too much time just because people are close to us thinking that they need to accept us and they need to be a part of our lives. I don't think that that's always it. I don't think we're necessarily born into our tribes. I think that you find them when you find your truth. And so really solidifying your beliefs and your ethics and what you live by and what you want to be in the world for yourself, because it is a choice. All those things are a choice. That helps you find the people that you vibe with. That's your tribe and that's your truth. That was the whole point of our lesson from Monday. And we are done with our questions. And this was great. Man, it makes me feel so good to talk about this. I hope you guys have enjoyed this sort of banter between all of us on so many things. I can't even think of all of them. But ethics and beliefs it's a big topic because we're individually different. And so you should find your truth in that. Find your truth to find your tribe.
Yeah.
There are people out there exactly like you, believing in what you believe in, that will help you through, that will bring you into their circle. And if we're it, awesome, great. We welcome you. Hey, we love you. Mwah. And if it is somebody else, good, find them, like be with them, grow yourself through that. Whatever it is that you need for this lifetime to get through, I would say find it. I would say keep searching until you find it. 100%.
Thank you guys for all your comments. Okay. I love the chatting. It was nice to read your guys' comments.
Wait, there's a my BFF asked a similar question. Why would the devil punish you for? Oh, it was the thing.
Yeah.
My sister blew my mind on that, Amber. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
I watched the show Lucifer and I thought it was really great. So that's my whole education.
I mean, we all know why, right? We all know why. Like somebody said before, control. You know, scaring people, getting them into, which isn't a bad thing, right? But then it got twisted and then I got weird.
I think the fear. So in psychology, or we'll try to end with this because now I know I'm going to get on my little tangent. But in psychology, so we are human, you guys. We are spirits living in a human body. So we cannot ignore our human mind, the brain that helps operate all of this. Fear is what has kept the human bodies alive. That's the reptilian brain, the monkey brain, whatever you want to call it, but it's the ancient brain that has us alert, ready to fight, flight,
defend,
whatever it is. All the things that basically make you survive. Survival is the key so that we can procreate and create the next generation. So fear lives in our brain and body no matter what, because it's one of the systems that keeps us alive. It has to be there for the evolutionary process of us not dying. We have to fear things. We should fear bears and poisonous snakes and big deep spaces we could fall into or whatever. So when religion has figured out that if they fear something else to come that they have no control over, like the afterlife, it helped get people to collectively be submissive. Yeah.
Conform.
And that's it. So once we find a fear trigger in somebody, this is what narcissists do. This is what abusive relationships do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Teresa.
Yes, fight,
oh my
freeze,
gosh.
Yeah.
Because I was like, fight, flight, do
run.
something else. I don't know. I forgot.
fight, flight.
I can see it's been many years since my psychology program. Once they find something that they can feed on with fear, that is where control is created. And this is not just in religion, but this is in relationships. This is in family things. This is in parent and child fear we know we can use as a weapon. And the moment that you recognize that somebody is just trying to make you afraid of something, you should question it and say, should I really be afraid of that? Now, when you see signs at Disneyland that say, don't enter the water because there's alligators, yes, real fear. But
that's
when
very controversial. You probably shouldn't talk about that.
It is? Anywhere in Florida where you see alligator signs in the water, don't get in it. Those are real fear signs. Just don't even
go by.
That's not to scare you. That's
not to scare you. It's because it's real.
It's real.
It's
there
like
are alligators, and they don't know you from, what they usually eat, which is other animals, I guess.
Yeah. We're animals technically, but so there's that. Okay, so there's that real world fear, right? Okay, things really happening to us. Malaria, AIDS, all this is real. Then you have fear of what happens to you in the afterlife, the actions that you take, how much you must give to somebody to be accepted into heaven, whatever it is. Not real fears, fears created by humans. And that's where we have to start separating out, like, what should I actually be afraid of and what should I not be afraid of? Can a demon really possess your soul? I don't know. Is that part of your belief system? Can somebody put a spell on you to have bad luck for the rest of your life? That's a belief system. And that's where we go through these things within ourselves to say, what's real here and what is just fear leading me into this? It's irrational fear even. That's all part of the work.
Man, it's a lot. Yeah.
I know. It's like such a big subject.
People have asked me before, how do you feel about like demons or whatnot? I'm like, I don't believe in them. Period, point blank, I don't. Some people may. Some people may say they've been possessed by them or seen them, felt them, whatever. I personally, I don't believe in it. I don't invite it. And that's just me. That's my truth, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even invite that thought into my mind.
To
that
be
they're-
a reality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
That's not,
And if
that's
you
not
don't
reality.
believe it, then it's not. Then
You
it's not
create
gonna.
your own
Because what we
reality.
think about, we bring about.
Yeah.
If you're afraid of something all the time, you
Yeah.
will create that situation in
Yeah,
your life. You will
absolutely.
draw that experience to yourself, no
Mhm.
matter how crazy. Even paranormal activity things. Like, I used to be very interested in that. And so I would have experiences, never that were super scary, but just like really interesting, couldn't explain. But it was because I thought about it all the time. What if, what if, what if, what if, what if? Once I stopped thinking about them, I don't get that anymore. There's not paranormal experiences. I may have unexplained noises in my house.
She definitely has ghosts here, so don't let her try to just
They don't
walk
bother
over
me.
that one. No.
I don't have experiences with them. They're just loud, or
You
there's
guys
sounds.
thought our house was haunted when you were little.
It was.
It was not.
I-
It
They
was.
believed that it was, so it was. I never believed
Either that or I'm crazy and I actually see like people.
Apparition.
I see dead people. Like
Apparitions. I said apparitions. I don't even know what an apparition.
yeah, that.
No, we saw an old lady sitting at the top of our stairs that used to creak, creak, creak all the damn time. We saw her. I don't know why.
I've seen many.
I've seen things, but it doesn't mean that it's like every day. And once you let that go, it just doesn't bother you anymore.
Jamie, did you have another message for us before we sign off? No, not really.
Oh,
Did you?
you know what our message was at the end of the last meetup on Monday was celebrate life. There were these 13, it's probably not on that, but there were these 13 things that the 1974 Council of American Witches brought forward so that we could become a recognized religion under Wicca, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, but like, I'm not Wiccan. It's not a religion. But just that it was a council of witches. And I think my favorite one from that whole list of 13 principles was celebrate life. This is it, you guys. This is our one
Yeah.
life in this thing. These are
Yeah.
our one relationships. This whole thing is not going to happen again. We can come back as other people
Mhm.
in other times, in other situations, but we're in this one life just one time. It's not that we don't get other times with these same entities and energies, but we're just this. I'm just Jamie one time. She just gets to be Jolene this one time, and this is Kat just one time. And I want to celebrate the incarnation of us this one time. And I think that that's what makes me live every single day like it's a fucking gift or a blessing, like every single day.
And to love yourself too, right?
To
'Cause
love
it's like, wow,
myself,
look at me in this life.
gifts, everything I have. Every time I wake up, I love my house. I love what's around me. I want to wake up every single day in love with my life. And that took a long time to get to, but I'm glad I'm here now. So I would urge you guys to look at your life and how can you make it like when you wake up every single day, you're in love with the life that you have. Whether it's changing things in your house, moving to a different location, whatever it is, make goals to make the life that you wake up in every single day a life that you love. I think that's the most powerful thing that we can do for ourselves here.
Sorry.
Okay.
I always do that.
That's my message, Tracy.
All
I hope you
right.
liked it.
Go celebrate life.
Celebrate life. It's
Buy
a
some flowers, put them on your
stuff.
table.
Yes, flowers, seeds, plant stuff, bird watch. Get out there in nature. Dust off
Make
the
some
snow.
things for the squirrels because there are people out there that don't really care about the squirrels eating and only care about the birds eating. So you should also feed your squirrels.
And raccoons, I guess, because those shits get into everything.
All right. Good
All
night,
right.
you
I hope you
guys.
guys have a wonderful weekend. Next week, you guys. Next week, I bet this is what Tracy's talking about. Next week, I will not be here. I got chosen to be on a American Warrior Association retreat. So they pick 15 females once a month to go have a retreat in northern Georgia. And I got chosen as a veteran female, and I will be gone. So Kat and Jolene will be hosting on Monday.
Sorry,
and again,
guys.
sorry.
Sorry, you guys.
Monday and Thursday.
Monday and Thursday, you guys
Yeah.
will not see me. If I can join from my location, I just don't know what like cell service will be or anything. I have no idea. They're kind of keeping it a secret. If I can join, I will, but I most likely will not be here all next week. So I will see you guys in April, which is around the corner. Crazy enough. So have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys in a couple weeks.
Until
and a
then,
half?
and I will see you on Monday
Monday.
for
Yes.
week 4 of the Beginner Witch series.
The Witch's Box, your tools and where you keep them and what you do, all the good stuff. So they'll see you next week.
Love
Bye,
you guys. Bye.